Today is the wrap up for June. I'm going to start this off by sharing the books that I am still working through and will be working through throughout the year because they're not my June specific books, and then we'll get into what I didn't finish in June and what I read in June. Let's do this. So these three are the books that I am continuing to read. They were not June TBR picks, although I think I included them in the video. Not quite sure, but these are books that I am continuing to read. I'm just going to quickly introduce each of them and kind of update you on what I'm thinking so far. So, The Brothers Karamazov, or however you say it, by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I think that's how you pronounce it. I love Russian, but I don't know if that's accurate. I really have been enjoying this book. Honestly, more than I thought I would. I really liked it when I started it last year in 2020, and I just didn't really pick it up that much last year for reasons. It was just a year, we all know. But I'm really enjoying this. I am on page 113, book 2, chapter 8. The title is about a scandal, so it's about to get interesting. If it wasn't already, it was. Love how this book is kind of like reading, the way I describe it is kind of like reading a devotional in story form, and that's hard to explain unless you've actually read it, but it's so far talking about like the church and the state and in Russia, of course. It's just very like relatable to the world today. When was this written? I don't even know. I should really know these things. 1880, and it's still so relatable today, and so that's why I kind of say it's like a devotional in story form. But it's been so good, and also like my kind of humor. I don't even know if it's meant to be funny, but I find it hilarious a lot of the time. I'll be laughing out loud. It's great. Gotta read it. It's definitely my longest book. Let's see, how many pages is it for real? 985 pages. Biggest book I own, and so kind of intimidating. Took me a while to read or start reading. I'm loving it, and I just rambled for like 3 minutes about this book, but definitely check it out. It's linked in the description. Then my current like Christian living devotional sort of book, Rewriting Your Broken Story by Ken Boa. This was my mom's college, one of my mom's college professors that we heard speak last November. Anyway, he's awesome. And this book is so good. I literally only read like a section a day. So like the next part that I'll read is like a page and a half, I think. Yeah, well, I'll finish the chapter, but it's so good. It's like, it's one of those books that's so deep that you kind of have to take it in snippets and just appreciate all of it over time. Then the other book that I'm reading throughout the year, my Fixing My Eyes on Jesus 365-Day Devotional by Anne Graham Lotz. I haven't read this for today, so why don't I just go ahead and do this. I love how at the start of the month, there are these beautiful quote pages. Also, fancy bookmark, love it. What does this quote even say? I don't know. It says, God does not comfort us to make us comfortable, but to make us comforters. Not comforters like your bed, like comfort other people. Just to clarify. And then this is what the daily devotionals look like. This is also going to be linked in the description. Check it out. It's so good and it's beautiful. The Home of Your Dreams, July 1st. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. Revelation 21:2. Anna, just 12 years old, lives in foster care. Oh my gosh. I'm already hooked on this because I serve as a guardian ad litem volunteer, which is like a child's advocate in court for kids who are in the foster care system or have been adjudicated, abused, or neglected, or anything like that. So this is my heart. Anyway, she was abandoned by her mother and abused by her father. Recently, she was told that she was no longer welcome in her foster home. Those in charge told her they'd decided to keep her brother, but not her. That breaks my heart. How devastating to this little one. Her dreams of a family and home were totally shattered. I'm literally gonna cry. I can't with this. I promise it's not this depressing every day, but anyway. Wow. Have your dreams of a home been shattered too? Have the dreams of a place where you're accepted, encouraged, challenged, forgiven, understood, and comforted been destroyed? Jesus promised in John 14:2, "In my Father's house are many rooms. I am going there to prepare a place for you." There is hope. A heavenly home is being prepared for you. One day you will live in the home of your dreams. Oh my gosh. Crying. Not really. I'm going to try not to cry on camera, but wow, on the inside. And on the back, it has this beautiful verse. This is my favorite verse. One of the reasons that it makes it that much better, it's based off of this verse, my favorite verse. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. Hebrews 12:2. Love it, and I keep this little thingy on it to protect it. So then let's move on to the one book that was on my absolute TBR that I did not finish. No Visible Bruises. Now, I'm going to kind of talk about why I have not finished this, because it's a really important book and a really, really important topic for us to talk about. I feel like I haven't decided if I'm going to DNF this or if I actually am going to finish it. I feel like I should finish it, but obviously June is over and I didn't quite get to it. The beginning starts out so powerful, so good. I thought that this whole book was going to follow the story that it starts with. That's not to say that the other stories in this book aren't important. They are, but I just kind of felt like it ended up being very disorganized. It could have included these other stories as examples, but I just think it could have been better organized, and that's the reason why I've had trouble following with this book. And I feel okay sharing this because my mom and I were talking about it, and I didn't realize that she felt the exact same way about it that I did. I thought she really liked this book. She did at the beginning, just like me, but we both really struggled with this one because it's just not as organized as I had hoped. I have linked it in previous videos. I'll link it in this one if you want to check it out. The first half of the book I highly recommend reading. It's just hard to take in all at once, I guess. And I feel like it would be good to go back and like read a chapter at a time because there are different stories and it is important. But I am not like jumping to read this every single day. And also it's sad, like really, really sad. So struggling, didn't finish it, feel bad, but it is what it is. However, I finished a bunch of other books in June, so let's go ahead and get into those now. You can see up here my nice feather boa. We had a through the decades like dress up night at the student ministry that I volunteer with. So I just thought that looked cool up there. It looks better in person. Let's just take that down. All right. So right here we have all the books that I finished in June. Let's get this stacked. Those are all the books I read in June. Isn't that amazing? I'm so proud of myself. Let's talk about... Oh! I read 7! I thought I only read 6. Yes, I get to choose an extra book next month. This month, whatever. Let's go ahead and talk about them. I'm just going to go in order of the stack, not in any particular order. Holiness Devotional by Jerry Bridges. Backstory. Got this for free when I graduated high school. They gave all the graduates in my graduating class a copy. It's kind of like has a soft cover and I really, really love the way that it looks. I didn't love all of the devotionals in here. There were some really, really good ones and there were some others that were just kind of like basic to me. Probably not basic to like a beginner reading, but a lot of stuff that I'd heard before. Not that it's not important, but it's just kind of, I feel like if you go more into like what the Bible actually says as opposed to like what people say about the Bible, it would have been better. That's just my personal opinion because a lot of times people repeat the same things over and over again, and yet the Bible itself is always relevant in a different way. Yeah. I don't really know how else to explain that, but it's just kind of like some were really good and some were not as good. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep this because it does take up a lot of room on my shelf. It is pretty though, and I did get it for high school graduation, so it's kind of like I feel like I should keep it, but I'm not sure at this point. I had put it in on a second sale order, or to like sell back my books, and they accepted it. I just don't know if I really want to sell it. I haven't decided. Then we have The Best Yes by Lisa TerKeurst. Before I forget, let me go ahead and see how many pages it is. 231 pages. I think I counted it 232 in my notebook. Oops. But really good. I gave this 4 stars. I don't remember why. Really, really good. A fantastic book. Super helpful in like making decisions, and I've been like applying stuff that I've learned in this book, even in just like the last week. And it's great. 100%. I just gave it 4 stars. Let me see if I can find a quote that I love. Wisdom requires work. I love that quote because I need that reminder very much. So right now, I love this. I make a plan for what's realistic so I don't overextend myself. Just practical stuff. And like the summarizing of "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," I wrote, "I will not lack. I will not be without. I will not become empty," because those are the things that the original meaning kind of relates to. I don't know how to explain that. Ooh. Multitasking in the middle of creative work momentarily knocks your IQ down 10 points, according to the British Institute of Psychiatry. At me, really. Oh my gosh. Let me just read this. It ends with Psalm 37, 23 through 24. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. We could just put her in there too, because it's a book for women. Just saying. Anyway, that was a really good book. Glad I read it finally after I stole it from a white elephant present a couple years ago. You guys know, if you've seen my past videos throughout the month of June, I was doing like a love and relationships series because I was in one of my best friend's wedding and I was just like in the mood for like happy love books. Speaking of happy though, I cried repeatedly rereading this book that I always loved. Forgot how sad it is throughout a lot of it. Love it so much, so much. Like, I recommend everyone read this book. It is lovely, lovely. It's so good, but I just cried so much. I think I was just extra emotional this month. And stuff going on in my own life. The week of my friend's wedding, like just all the feels. I don't know, I couldn't handle it. It's partially because, well, the story itself just made me cry. Which I don't remember it ever making me cry like that, but oh, dang. I was a mess. Anyway, it's so good though. Another book that I reread in the month of June was The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks, of course based off of the movie The Last Song. I love that this is just like a little bit, I love and hate actually, that this is just a little bit different from the movie. There's so much in here that's really, really good that the movie just like leaves out. And I'm like, why would you leave that out? I think it was made after. Was it made before or made after? I don't know. I'm pretty sure this was based off the movie, so it just like expanded on things. Oh my gosh. All the feels. All the feels. Okay. The next book is one that I wasn't expecting to love as much as I did. And if you saw my reading vlogs, you know this. Destination Jerusalem, sorry for the glare, is a fantastic book. I was honestly shocked how much I enjoyed it, and I would dare say that this was probably my favorite, one of my favorite reads. Probably my favorite, along with this next one. I wasn't expecting this. It's just like the straight facts of what's going on in the Middle East, and it even included parts in like Egypt and Russia. There was another place that they went that I don't remember, but it was just so good. I loved the part about Russia because I'd been there. I'd been to the Kremlin, and I like when I can visualize what's going on in a book. I really appreciated that, and I just like that it was not filler. It was just straight facts, stories, experiences. It was awesome, and I definitely recommend that everybody read this. Link in the description. It's short too. It's only like 187 pages. I read it like bit by bit in just a couple days, so it was just so good. Highly recommend. The other one that I kind of neck and neck for the best books that I read in June, Honor's Reward by June TBR. I had started this so many times and just never continued reading it. And I'm glad, because it spoke so much to me at this point in my life, this month, or last month in June. It's fantastic, talking about honoring different people, honoring authority, honoring government, honoring God, honoring yourself, honoring those around you. It's just so good. I highly recommend that everybody read this and see why honor is important, and not just the earthly reward, but the heavenly reward of honor and what it really brings to our lives if we choose to embrace it. Those in the Bible who honored their leaders were those who stayed close to the heart of God. That, to me, is the greatest of all rewards, to know his heart and have deep fellowship with him. There's nothing greater in life. I don't just do what's best for me, I do what's best for others so that they may be saved. Oh my gosh, I loved this part where I was talking about like honoring your children, and I'm not a mom, but I do teach and I do work with a lot of kids, and just like realizing the importance of honoring them, and like not just like trying to like tell them what they should or shouldn't do, but like truly honoring them as human beings and like who they're going to become. I loved that part. And how when you speak their name, you are speaking a meaning of the name over them. And I love name meanings. Fun fact, total nerd over name meaning. And I just loved that part. So highly recommend that you guys read this, if only for that chapter. Like, seriously, get this book. And then last but not least, I read Breaking the Cycle of Divorce, which was a book that I had gotten in college for a class, and it was like a class where we had a couple different books we could choose from, and I, of course, being a book nerd, I ordered all of them, and I didn't read this one for the report or whatever we were doing. But Breaking the Cycle of Divorce by Dr. John Trent, is he doctor? Whatever. It's so good and so short. I read this in like a day, which is not usual for me. So 172 pages, and they're like a lot of blank pages in really big print. Love it. It was fantastic though, and just like talking about issues that we carry down through generations if we don't deal with like not being able to keep commitments to ourselves, blaming other people for your own actions or your consequences, insecurity, fear, all kinds of crap like that. It talked about all of it. So good, so recommend. It's not just like, I mean, it was written for children of divorce, but I would say even if you grew up in a family, like a single parent family, or a family with like one or both parents wasn't emotionally healthy or mentally healthy, read this book, because it talks about a lot of the things that we grow up with and don't even realize that we've taken on because of our upbringing, that play into your ability to have lasting and meaningful relationships. And I was kind of floored by this book, honestly. 100% 5 stars. Definitely recommend. I would recommend even people who grew up in a healthy household, so to speak, would read this too, because it gives you understanding of other people. Because the statistics on this, like, there's so many people who grow up with this kind of background, and it's like, it's absolutely devastating to marriages and family today. So I think that this is a book that honestly everybody should read, but especially if you grew up in a less than healthy household. Highly recommend. Make sure you pick it up. It's in the description, as are all of these. So here's the TBR books I read. Book I didn't finish. And hold on. Books I'm working on. And the biggest book I own. Yes! Got them all. before I break my wrist, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for watching. Please subscribe and leave in the comment below your favorite book that you read in June, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.